Okay, so I'm joined by the fantastic Ronnie Huxford, drummer of the incredible band Those Damn Crows. Just caveat right now, for some reason, and I don't know where this has come from, I keep saying them damn crows. So if I say that, correct me, tell me I'm an idiot. I don't know where it's come from.
That's
That's
fine.
driving me up the wall. Um, so I want to start first of all to talk about the upcoming record, which, absolutely fantastic. It's out on April the 11th and you've actually dropped 5 of the 10 songs already from it. Which do you feel has actually been received best by the fans out of those 5 tunes?
I think they've all had different impacts, really. I think that's the beautiful thing about this record. They don't sound um they're like a playlist. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
almost every one of the songs I feel has a different flavor. So Still has had a massive impact. Dreaming that we've just dropped. That's kind of one of the quickest with the video, I think with on YouTube and stuff like that. Um Glass Heart had so much radio play. I mean, like it had so much radio play that we couldn't get the other singles on the playlist because obviously it was a listed, which you can't get another single on until obviously that drops out, So yeah, we're in a great position. I think No Surrender came out just after Christmas, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's heavier," because obviously they had Let's Go Psycho, which was way back in June when we played Download, and we kind of released that as a flavor of the new record. So yeah, I think they've all had different impacts, bro. It's really exciting.
so going back to, I've forgotten the song you said now, but basically you shoved yourself off the playlist, essentially. You're your own worst enemy in that regard, which actually kind of cracks me up a little bit.
Yeah, it's just I think it's modern times, and I'm not sure how radio works or the way they're funded and stuff like that at the moment. But I remember asking the question not so long ago of how come that's not on the radio? How haven't that got on? And I was told by I think somebody who worked in radio basically that Glass Heart was getting so much traction. And then obviously other artists have to go on. But the other songs now are jumping on, which is great. So, and then in Europe, we're having a lot of love in Europe at the moment, which is great because we've spent quite a lot of time over there. So it's nice to see everything starting to pay off.
Cool. Now, of the rest of the tracks that are yet to be released, heard, for example, is there a particular tune out of those ones that you're actually quite excited for the fans to hear? The one that you really want to get out there, but you're saving for the or record drop?
The Night Train,
Yeah,
yeah,
that is
without doubt. I Yeah, like it was such a difficult one because I personally wanted that to be a single. And I know some of the other boys did as well. And I think that was like the big discussion of there's just so many songs, where the label, the management, and the band wanted to be singles, but we wanted everybody to have a different, like I said to you, a different flavor, see the different layers of the record. But the Night Train is still to come. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that one as well. That's the thing now. I'm very old school, so used to release 3 singles. That's how I used to kind of listen to my music. Where I think these days it's more of you give people a lot more before the record is out. Because everything's a little bit more throwaway, unfortunately,
yeah. It's actually interesting you say that because one of the things I've found fascinating about how we consume music in the modern era, I keep questioning to myself what the actual value of an actual album is, unless you get that physical copy. Um, what's your sort of view or take on that? Do you feel that albums still have a major place to live in this world or a place in this world? Or do you think through streaming services, dropping the songs individually is sort of the way forward and we shouldn't fight it?
I mean, personally, I wish we could go back. I think it would benefit a lot more artists. And a lot of people they complain about ticket prices, etc. But touring now is the only way we can make our money. And we're not even Metallica or Foo Fighters, but even like the arena show we put on, I mean, we gained very little from that financially, yet the output was massive. Like, do you get what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like, wow, putting on an arena show. So, and the amount of production we put into it was still not even at like I said, at a Foo Fighters Metallica level. So it does make you think of the outgoings and why the ticket prices are going up. And then same kind of refers to records, really. Because obviously we are very lucky. We have a solid fan base and they're buying the physicals, but a lot of the younger generation just stream it. The money's just you don't see the money back. Like I said, it's great to have millions of plays, but oh my God, man, I would just prefer millions of records sold. I think that's the heartbreaking thing for us as a band. I genuinely think if it was like 25 years ago, whatever the date, this band would be sitting here now with at least a gold disc, which would be amazing, and our
Yeah.
bank balances would obviously be far greater.
Yeah. See, it's interesting you say that. I still remember the day HMV closed in my town, and I was like, I need to actually start embracing the download generation. I think it was a heavy hit for me, if I'm honest. Yes, I could buy them from Amazon, but there was something about going to the record store. So I think I'm with you on that in that
Well,
regards.
yeah, we're from Bridgend, and we had two record stores. One was called Hitman and one was called The Jungle. Um, and every Saturday, just as a young lad, I used to catch the bus down and just spend hours flicking through records, spending time looking at the artwork, and then couldn't wait to like spend whatever I had at the time on a record. Whether it be Bad Brains or whether it be an Iron Maiden record or anything like that, and then take it home and look through all the credits and look at the artwork, and it was just something special about that.
Yeah,
Now I'm not really a fan of you know sitting there just flicking through my Apple and that's it. It's I kind of still buy physicals anyway, so I'm still kind of hooked on that kind of generation anyway.
cool. Now, I've given the new record a listen, and honestly, I'm really digging it. I can't wait for it to actually be released, so I can actually, going against what we've just said, have it on my iTunes, have it on my phone without having to like log into a website as I do
Yeah.
at the moment. Um, now I don't know how you feel about this personally. I've sort of got the feel from it. It's a little bit more subdued than your previous records. There's more. I think how I'd describe it, more like ballad-like songs on it. The Night Train, for example, and Turn It Around. I wanted to ask, did you actually sort of intend for, a let's try for something different or slightly different from before, or was it a natural evolution for you as a band?
No, I just think we just write. And we don't really think about much more. Shane's fantastic with lyrics. So he tells a story, and he really connects with the songs. I think that's how we've evolved as a band, rather than one of us chucking lyrics or something like that. Or he really kind of, you know, sends a home run there, I think, and connects with the fans. And then I think with the music, it's always the case of wherever the idea comes from, whether it's brought individually or it happens in a room, spontaneous. Um, I think a good song's a good song, and if we feel that it should go on the record, then there's not really much argument to that. Like the Night Train, we've been. Christ, I remember jamming that in a rehearsal space years ago before we even had our HQ now and unit. There's been songs always kicking around. There's always songs kind of in the crow's nest, and then we just put them in the crow cauldron, and that's kind of what comes out. So whether it's a ballad, I mean, Shane brought Still to the table, and I know myself and Lloyd personally were like, that's got to go on the record. And he was like, oh, I don't know, man. And, he was a bit, he wasn't sure, like, whether, the fans would be happy at just being him rather than the full band. But we were just like, no, that's beautiful. And it was literally just him, guitar in his studio. It was stunning, So I think they're moments of a career. Um, and it'd be a shame to kind of miss them out to kind of go, we need 8 hard-hitting songs and 1 ballad. And I think some records will be a little bit lighter, some records will be a bit darker. I think that's been kind of the theme of the last few years, of like heavier, lighter, poppier, rockier, punkier. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different inspirations in the band. Like there's a lot of, like, from punk rock to pop punk to grunge to the Beatles to, you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
just too many. And I don't think we hold back. We don't try to be just a hard rock band or you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
no, of
so many
course.
bands where I respect them, but you listen to the record and it is very, you know who they are, which is fine. I like the fact of where I would buy a Queen album back in the day. Um, I know it's quite a big statement, but I kind of feel we're more like that, where we could do a piano song, and then it's like, then we could do a ballad, and then we could do like a really hard rock, or we do quite anthemic songs. Do you know what I mean? So, but I think we're always thinking of that stadium show and like the journey of the set list of where to take people, like,
Cool. Now you are currently on tour at the time of like recording this interview. I think you're on your fourth night in Norwich tonight.
I'm in Norwich right
Yeah,
now,
there we
yes.
go. Now, how's the tour been so far? How's it been like going? Like, tell me the crowds have been like on point.
Yeah, it's obviously it's an underplay. I think everybody's got that. Because everyone's going like, why? Obviously, we just did Cardiff Arena and stuff like that. But it's really, really good to kind of not forget and not kind of lose that connection with the Crow family. It's so it's been a struggle at sometimes to play the smaller venues, because we've been used to now upgrading everything and production. Like I think when we started in Oxford, there was a few tweaks needed and try and iron out certain things. And then Broome was amazing. We've never been there. The cheese and grain. It was just absolutely amazing. And I think that was the point of this tour, to try and play venues as well. Like the 100 Club. We've never been to the 100 Club.
Yeah,
Never done it, dude. It's like, this band's been together now 10 years plus, and plus we've all been in bands before. So it was nice to play venues that kind of excite us as well. And we go, oh, we've never been here. Because it's that
yeah,
cool, isn't it? When you walk, you know what I mean? You walk into a new place and you're like, oh, this is cool. And I think we had that from Frome, because we'd never been there as well. It's like, oh, wow. And like the waterfront now, we've only ever supported bands here. So it's nice to come down here and do our own show. And obviously, we will revisit other, you know, Manchester's and plus like that. Like, I know there's a lot of complaints why, but it's hard to play everywhere all
yeah.
the time. Like, but then it's hard to try and please everybody all the time. So, yeah, I think it's been going really, really well so far.
Cool.
Um, and it's only 4 shows in.
Yeah. So I mean, you've already mentioned the big Cardiff Stadium show, and I think this was actually your biggest headline show to date. What was that experience like, sort of going, we're playing a headline set in a stadium. What was that impact like for you personally?
Um, for me personally, I mean, it just felt right. It felt like a really well-earned journey, of supporting bands, driving for pretty much days for nothing, no money, and really scraping and trying to build a fan base. Which I don't know if a lot of people are aware of that. Like we've left Wales, drove to Ireland for 50 quid to support a band. Like, do you get what I mean? It's cost us far more than some people pay a month on rent just to do a gig. Like,
Yeah.
so to get to that final point was just, yeah, it just felt like a victory for the band, and a real celebration, if anything. So it was special. Families were there, friends, and like people who have been from day one, and some people who've been to like 50 Crow shows or whatever. So I think it was nice to kind of have all singing, all dancing, pyros. we just
Yeah.
blew, we literally blew the lot, like, but that's what it was. It was not about the money. It was all about like the celebration, like, and yeah, and I think it was kind of like a really great moment for the band. And then the first thing we thought was, right, what's next?
Yeah, of course. Now, we've already mentioned, like, the 100 Club, for example, and the tour you're currently on. They're all quite small venues, which contrasts quite significantly to the Cardiff Stadium. Um,
Yeah.
the 100 Club, obviously, it's an incredible venue to play. What was the decision behind, playing these smaller venues after, filling a stadium? Because, for some fans, trying to get those tickets can be a challenge. And second part to that question really is, what do you actually prefer? Do you prefer the big spectacle of that arena, or do you like the grittiness and lack of security between you and the fans?
Great questions. I think it's a really hard one because when we play smaller stages, we've got so many bigger ideas, and we want to give people like, big bang for their buck, like, but then a lot of people have asked us to play more intimate shows. So I think with this run in particular, the mindset was, by the team, everyone around us, etc., was, well, we can try and kind of do both throughout this year, like, you know what I mean? So I think, like I said, everybody on this tour has picked up on the, this won't be the last time you see us kind of thing, like, but it is a good way to touch base, play some songs off the new record, be face to face with everybody. No frills, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you did see the Cardiff Arena show. That's where we want to be. That's the production we want to do. But then it is nice to go back to that punk rock, face to face, no frills, where everybody seemed to fall in love with the band first time round, like, So I think that was the plan, just to revisit that and play places that we've never played before.
Cool.
And then obviously, you know, biggest, well, it's a secret, but obviously we will follow up with something else soon, which will be
Oh,
announced. I announce,
yeah.
there we are.
See, now I really want to probe you and say, like, come on, give me something, give me an exclusive, but I know you can't. So I will just stay intrigued at this
If
point.
I keep saying it's just the underplay, I mean, the tour hasn't even got a name. We didn't want to call it. Well, there's a hint. It's not even called the God-shaped hole tour.
Yeah,
So there's we haven't done a God-shaped hole tour yet.
yeah. So Inhale Exhale, that album really put you on a lot of people's radars. But God-Shaped Hole, it is kind of set to, really boost you even higher, and gain you that many more fans. Now, as a band, you've always kind of been a band for the people, as it were. You've always loved having that connection, through the CrowCast podcast and things like that. As you grow in popularity, are you starting to find that ability to connect with your fans on that more personal level more of a challenge in any way?
Another great question. We try and tap into social media as much as we can. We're very interactive with the fan page. It's harder with the gigs because as they get bigger, if we were to shake every hand, there's security, there's curfews, etc. So that's become harder. It's not a safety thing or anything like that. It's we're kind of out that 2020 horrible blip. But it's more the fact of, as the capacities get bigger, it's harder to give everybody that face-to-face interactive time. But we do stretch ourselves and do the best we can and appear where we can and surprise people where we can. And then, like, in April, it's just been announced now we're doing all the in-stores,
Yeah,
which is a really good way to kind of, yet again, it doesn't put strain on like Shane trying to perform. Then we're doing a record store in a day, and you know what I mean? And then he can't perform and give the best show he can vocally. So we're going to do a record store tour, and we're doing a live CrowCast. And when I mean live, we've always been live streaming it every week, but we're going to do it in face to face, like,
yeah,
So, and we're yet to do that. We were supposed to do it at download, but there was so many errors made by our team at the time where everything we needed got taken home. So we were actually at download with nothing to kind of do what we wanted to
yeah.
do. So we decided it postponed now, which is a good thing now because everybody gets to have it in April. And there's your face to face. There's the ideas, kind of like, well, how can we still interact with people? How can we do Q&As, questions? You know what I mean? Spend a bit of time saying stuff. So I think we'll always try and find a way. I think that's the kind of the end goal, like, you know.
Yeah. So I have been to live podcasts before. Like I don't know if you know like Kevin Smith, the Clerks guy. I've been to some of his stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really neat way of doing it, actually. So obviously you've got the one in, I believe, is it in Cardiff in April? Or...
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
it
Yeah.
is in
Yeah.
Cardiff. Are
Yeah.
you, if that's successful, is this something you might want to explore more? So having that go on tour, play venues, but you're all sat at the front and chatting to people. Because I actually think that could be. That's something different that bands don't really do. They'll do press events where someone like me might get lucky to go to, but yeah, average Joe fan won't. So is this something we could see more of?
Well, look, I'm a massive fan of podcasts. And when CrowCast came around, I remember being in COVID and I phoned Shane and just said, we have to do something. And Shane was the same, he was driven. And I messaged one of my American podcasts that I listened to find out what they were using, etc., etc. And that's how we came up with CrowCast and we were able to ping it. And then I remember when it was working and like it was kind of doing well, and obviously everybody didn't know how we were going to come out of COVID. Um, I actually said then this is something we could do live because do you remember like the old Radio One road shows and stuff like
Yeah.
that? And all that was in my head. And obviously I've seen other live podcasts like Kevin Smith and like all my wrestling podcasts, and I've seen football podcasts, and I was like, yeah, a band could do this. So I think we're currently talking about it. It's just making sure everybody's on board, everybody's happy, and can it be good as well, man? We don't want to do something and it's like, I don't know if you can swear on you, but yeah, we don't want it to be kind of bunk, like, So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think we can get away with like mild bad language. I've not been in
yeah,
trouble
there we
yet, and
go.
I've had some proper soda talk on some of these
No,
interviews in the past. So
yeah, I'll watch the Fs and Jeffs, but yeah, it's yeah, we just as long as it's good and as long as it's fun and as long as people get a takeaway from it where they go, that was awesome, and I'd like to come back. So I think we're going to test the water in Cardiff. We were supposed to do it in Download, um, see how Cardiff goes, and it could be a winner because, like I said, I'm glad you said that because I've been banging that drum for a while. I don't see other bands doing it, um, and I kind of think we were kind of the first. I'm not saying we were the first, but COVID thing was like, everybody kind of jumped on the band podcast thing after that. Like, there's a lot of individual ones, but there wasn't like a full band podcast, which is it's a cool thing. It's a really different, and it's a good way, like you said, to interact with people. And we are in a different age now, and we like.
yeah. Well, touch wood, you'll be doing one in London at some point, because I'll definitely be coming to that. So,
Class.
last question, and I did ask you something similar at Download, but it was more festival related. This one, I'm doing a final segment on my interviews called Tales of Touring Terror. And basically, I'm after some messed up or funny or something crazy that's happened to you or you as a band while you've been touring. So, have you got a story you will regale us with?
Well, there's ones I can't say for obvious reasons. um. Oh no, we've never had. Oh God, I gotta find wood. Such wood. I hope that's wood, real wood on the bus. Like, um, we haven't had nothing like scary, which is good. That's really, really good. But the thought has been there because you often think when you go in your bunk and like you hear a lot of things with buses or blah blah blah. We've had minor breakdowns and stuff. Couple of the boys, obviously, or one in particular, I won't say, has obviously needed the toilet, and that's been a challenge because there's always a rule on a tour bus that you can't do a number two. So he's really struggled. But yeah, nothing. We've been very, very fortunate, and we've had a good few buses now and trips through Europe, and everything's been really rosy. So I hope it continues, or the next time we speak, and I do have that horror story, unfortunately, like, you know.
Well, as you said, there are some stories, but they're not for public consumption, which I can respect.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's definitely a couple of them, yeah.
yeah. But Ronnie, it's been always, as always, an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Good luck with the
Thank
rest
you,
of the
brother.
tour. Hopefully, I'm going to see you in London. Touch wood. I think this is wood as well. We'll see. Um,
Excellent.
and I hope, truly hope, I get to come and see a live podcast with you guys at some point because it's unique, it's different, and it will be absolutely cracking.
Thank you so much, brother. And thank you for your time as well and all your support as well. So
Thank you.
looking forward, if you can make London, I'll catch up with you there, mate.
Perfect. Catch you later, my friend, and thank you. Good
So
luck. See you later, mate.
take care, man.
Bye.
See you, man.